Lofi Poli Sci coming at you. Michael Pickering here, talking our famous question: what's going on in the world today? And today we're continuing our look at countries around the world to see just how they're doing as far as development goes. We've done Panama, Somalia, Tuvalu, Mongolia, and today we're doing El Salvador. And our data come from the same places as always: World Bank, United Nations, Transparency International, Reporters Without Borders, and Freedom House. Let's go, starting with our World Bank data. El Salvador's GDP from 2000 to 2020. In 2000, their GDP was 11.78 billion US dollars. In 2020, it was $24.64 billion. So altogether, just over a 50% increase in the past 20 years. And they rank number 108 out of about 200 countries in the world, with Senegal right above and Honduras right below. Now, El Salvador's GDP per capita in 2000? $2,000 about per person per year. In 2020, it was up to $3,798 per person per year. So just under a 50% increase over the past 20 years. And they ranked about number 132 out of about 200 countries in the world, with Indonesia above them and Ukraine below. Now, Gini, looking at income inequality in the country. In 2000, a 51.5, which is really, really high income inequality. However, in 2019, they were down to a 38.8, which is not bad at all. It puts them at number 89 out of about 170 countries that have data, with Burundi right above them and Indonesia right below them. Now, HDI from the United Nations, that Human Development Index, looking at average life expectancy, average years of educational attainment, and GNI per capita with PPP. In 2000, they had a 0.61, and in 2019, a 0.673. And that is not a lot of growth in HDI over the past 20 years. And combining it, looking at our income data, it's likely that income is driving this. So over the past 20 years, it's not likely that average life expectancy or average years of educational attainment have increased all that much. Average life expectancy in the country is about 73.3 years, and average years of schooling is about 11.7. And as far as HDI rankings in the world, they rank about number 124 out of about 200 countries, with Iraq above them and Tajikistan below. Now, Reporters Without Borders, looking at media freedom in El Salvador. For 2022, on the year 2021, they ranked number 112 out of 180 countries and territories, with Malawi above them and Malaysia below them. That's quite low for media freedoms. It puts them in the less than 50% categories as far as countries. And from Transparency International, the Corruption Perception Index, looking at the perceived levels of corruption in the country from the 2021 report on 2020. El Salvador is tied at number 115 with Sierra Leone out of about 180 countries. Thailand, Malawi, Mongolia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, and Albania are tied for right above them. And Algeria, Egypt, Nepal, Philippines, and Zambia are all tied right below them. And similar to the media freedom score, this does put El Salvador as one of the more perceived corrupt countries in the world. Now to Freedom House, and looking at civil liberties and civil rights in the country that the people enjoy. And this is from the 2022 report on 2021. El Salvador scores a 59 out of 100, with a partly free ranking, and it's down from last year's score of a 63 out of 100. It ranks about number 100 out of about 200 countries and territories in the world, tied with Indonesia and Benin, with Mexico and Liberia tied right above them, and Georgia and Fiji tied right below them. But what's this all mean, and what's been up with El Salvador lately? Putting all our data together, we see that El Salvador is a developing areas country, though showing growth over the past 20 years. Economically, though still their human development indicators, media freedom, levels of corruption, amounts of civil liberties and civil rights in the country, all point to something going down in El Salvador that's keeping it from reaching its full potential of growth and development, and from spreading that growth and development to the people of the country. And we already know what that something is. We've been talking about it for the past 2.5 months. At the end of March, drug cartels and gangs murdered more people in one day and in that following weekend than just about the entire previous month together. And as a byproduct of that violence, the president, with congressional approval, put the country in a state of emergency to stop the violence. Since then, for almost 2.5 months, the country has stayed in a state of emergency, being renewed every 30 days by Congress at the behest of the president. And within the first month of that state of emergency, the government had arrested about 17,000 people. Now that number is upwards of 36,000. 2.5 months of a state of emergency in response to cartel and gang violence. Over 36,000 people have been arrested, which equals about, and very important to say that about word here because we don't have exact numbers, but about a daily average of 480 people being arrested every day. And since there's a state of emergency, police and military do not have to give the normal rights to citizens as guaranteed by the Constitution. And human rights organizations and the United Nations are all extremely concerned about these mass arrests going on and how much of it really has anything to do with the violence that the state of emergency is based on. And let's be honest, this issue is not unique to El Salvador. Lots of countries have these same kinds of problems that their governments have to face. But let me ask you, Lo-Fi listeners out there, because you know we're not about making up your mind for you. What do you do as a government when crime and corruption are so prevalent in your country? What do you do? Is arresting 36,000 people justified? Or not? And if not, then what should you do? Write in. We're all curious your thoughts.